part of this discipline is that you are a huge antenna for energy that's coming from everywhere, and that what's out there in the universe is just as important as what's here on Earth. You are connected to all of it.
2, 1, 0.
Hi and welcome to Stellar Life episode. This is your host Orion. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to introduce you to a very, very unique man. I met him a few years ago at a speaker and voice coaching event, and I was immediately drawn to him. We became buddies right away, and we were kind of laughing together, and it just felt so nice to be in his energy and to have a conversation with him. I adore him. I don't know him that much. We met a few times, but since then, I feel this warm spot in my heart for him. And what I did not know, that in addition to being a well-known surgeon and a gastrointestinal pioneer, Dr. Barry Morguelan, or as you know, is known a Dr. B, is one of the few grandmasters of a 5,000-year-old Chinese energy discipline. For more than 35 years, Dr. B has searched the globe for the most unusual and successful approaches to healing, transformational wellness, and personal achievement. He worked with big names like Tony Robbins, Dave Asprey, presidents and senators, Olympians and professional athletes, and more and more and more, because they all wanted to learn his energy for success method. He studied with a grandmaster in China, and he shared some crazy sci-fi-like stories with us today about his training and how he even was able to, as an outsider, kind of infiltrate and get an in and study with that extraordinary grandmaster and becoming a master himself. I'm sure you're gonna love him. I do. He's just a wonderful human being, very brilliant, and he's got a lot to teach and a lot to share. And now, without further ado, on to the show. Hi, Dr. Barry. Welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. It's such a pleasure and an honor. And I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you for being here.
It's a real pleasure.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure. Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so I met you a few years ago, and the moment I saw you, I was like, I didn't know anything about you, but I felt your energy. I just felt your presence. I felt your heart. I felt your sense of humor. So it's really cute. And I really enjoyed being around you, and we kind of clicked. And then later on, I learned that you are a magnificent doctor, healer, master, and you do treat masters. So, can you share a little bit about your journey of how did you started doing what you're doing today, and what were the hardships along the way?
You know, what's really fascinating is that, and it's such an honor to be here because I started over 30 years ago, UCLA, being successful as an endoscopic surgeon, like very, very quickly. And I worked in research also and discovered a disease. I had lots of wonderful patients. I was just thrilled with what you could do with endoscopic surgery because no longer did we have to cut you open. Before that, I did trauma surgery, which was, as you know, a lot of blood and guts and cracking things. And I thought patients was too much for them. And so then I said, oh, we're going to be able to help people with endoscopes. And so, and I taught about that. And I had still do up until about 18 months ago, 2 practices here in Los Angeles. I live in Pasadena. And I was so busy, I would go to the emergency room and then up to the intensive care unit and then to the floor and then back down. And, I was just wonderful results with all these people and I was loving it. And after about, the 3rd or 4th year of being in practice and being super successful, and head of the department, one Saturday, I was just making rounds. And, Saturday rounds are like, you want to get home a little bit, enjoy the weekend a little bit, even though you've got to come in the morning, make sure all the patients are okay. And always, if you're smart, you save your best patient for last, so that you can leave the hospital on a good. So you don't see your ICU patient last. You see someone that you like, that you know that you're going to have a good time with. So I went into Mrs. Rodriguez's room, and so I said, "Hi, how you doing? We got your tumor. It's all fine. You get to go home today, and you can start eating, doing whatever you want." And she said, "Would you sit on the bed a second?" And I said, "Okay." And it was one of those moments, like the sun shining through the window, and I'm sitting on the bed, and she says, "Doc, I really enjoy you and known you, and I appreciate the good job you did, but, it took too long to see you. It took long months before they ever found out what was wrong, and I had all that pain all the time. And then one doctor had to send me to another doctor, and so I really lost a lot of time in my work and taking care of my family. And I just wish that I could have, didn't have to go through all that, and could have just gotten, through this whole thing much quicker without any type of downtime." And so, I sat there and I took her hand, and I went, it was one of those ethereal moments. Like I said, the sun was shining through, and I said, "Ms. Rodriguez, it was up to me. I'm running so hard between the ICU and the regular floor and the emergency room, and then back to the office, and then late night rounds, and then dictating." I said, "I wish people never got sick at all. I wish people, instead of going through life with this opinion they've got, or this, it's got to say it's more than a belief, because you've got so many people following this route, that life is going to go like this, and then like this, and then finally you go down and you're out." And I said, I wish it was another way that you could keep getting stronger every day, getting healthier. And so then Mrs. Rodriguez, who was my bud, who also cooked me all kinds of pupusas and things like that, really good. I'm not kidding. She says, "If anybody can do it, you can do it, Dr. B." So I said, "This is one of those moments." I remember picking, when I went from trauma surgery to gastroenterology, to then also doing research. I said, "This is one of those moments where I'm making a change. I can feel it." So I made a goal right then. I said, "Okay, I'll go for it." But there was nobody around to promote that there's anything else than that. Matter of fact, I got a lot of flack from people as I went out having them cover my practice every 3 months, as I went searching for something alternative. You have to know, 25 years ago, in Los Angeles, the only alternative thing we had was maybe Winchell's Donuts. There was no espresso shops. There was no vitamins. Maybe one or two vitamin stores, but there wasn't anything that was all integrative alternative. And so I just worked it out with the travel agents. I said, "I want to go this place on the map, and I want to go this place, and I want to go this place, and I want to learn from the Native Americans, and I want to study up and down the coast of California." And so I made these. So I planned it out that I would go every 3 months on my own ticket, and I would have people cover my practice. So I went wonderful places and learned great stuff. I even was a shaman for a while, believe it or not. If you saw me with my shaman gear on and the robes and the long hair,
What kind? Where?
In Brazil.
In Brazil.
Yeah, I will. If I have slides of that, I can show you sometime.
I would love to see.
And then I would
and
just.
And you used plant medicine as well?
Oh yeah, all the things that everybody's excited about now. We did all that, and the only problem with all that stuff was, that you can't. First place, it would knock off all the smoke detectors if you were to burn all that stuff at UCLA in the rooms. Number two, that what we were using was this, the straight stuff. There was no compounding, no blending or anything. And so I tried all those things, and I thought it was wonderful, but that wasn't going to reverse someone's lifespan. It was only going to be a great high, and maybe then there's a recovery period, and then again, what I was looking for was to reverse that downgrade that people go through called aging. And so I knew that from my long time studies in physics that everything has a mirror image. So that if life has this image where everybody's going down, there has to be another universe that you can connect to that was going up. It would be reverse of that. And so I learned about water therapy. I learned about crystal therapy in South America and Central America. And, some of the crystals I had were gigantic, and I put them in my office under every chair. When I went to France, I got all these aerators, so I had aromatherapy going all the time in all the rooms. And, and other surgeons would come by and knock on the door and go, "You found the fountain of youth yet?" And
Wow.
I go, "No, not
How
yet. I'm
sweet
still
of
looking."
them.
Oh, it was worse. They go, "You're never going to find it, and you're an idiot. You're at the top of your field. You're known all over, U.S. internationally, and you want to waste your time looking for, something that doesn't exist. You're crazy." And I said, "Well, okay, but will you still cover my practice while I'm gone?" I said, "Not only were you going to cover your practice, we're going to steal your practice because you shouldn't be doing that. You should just stay where you are at the top of this Western medicine." And so I said, "No, I know there's something else in the world that has to exist." But every place I went, the way I would go is I would get to teach endoscopic surgery at different locations and different wonderful universities or cities. So in England, when I was there, it was Bach remedies. So I learned all about that.
Mm.
And in France, it was flower essences and also wine, cheese, and lifestyle. At those days, the lifestyle of the people in Europe and U.S. comparatively, given their diet and our diet, made no sense. And so it had a lot to do with the fact that we didn't have balance in our life at all. So there was things that I picked up along the way, including the thing you mentioned about that plant-based medicine definitely has a place in giving people an experience of how wide your consciousness can expand to. But let me tell you that you will never ever have experience with, and I've talked to the people who've been doing this, that have published about this. And, I'm good friends with back in the day, holotropic breathing, all those things to try to give you an expanded sense. Right. It's very good to do that. And yet, I knew that wouldn't be something Mrs. Rodriguez was going to do. And I knew that wasn't something that, and I knew that all the rest of the patients that I had in every age group, financial group, I always had a practice that expanded everywhere from high level financial to 20% indigent. But it was great because I got a feel for what everybody's body was suffering from. And so in Germany, I learned about the Rife machine, and they still have that machine now. Yes. It's the Rife vibrations. But again, that was fixing something where you already have a problem. What I wanted was a modality where you do that each day and you could actually get stronger, better, and actually more vital. Mm-hmm. And I know that people take a lot of supplements now, and people take a lot of alterations to their diet and things like that. Yeah. But if you look at the quality of their ability to compete, either physically or mentally, it still wasn't getting younger. It was, okay, you're sort of sustaining. Right. And what I wanted was the fact that you could actually become something that would be so pleasant for you and your family that it would be a joy to be alive. And I didn't find it. I went everywhere. I went to Africa, worked in South Africa, Central Africa, worked with this thing that's called the Healing Powers there. In Central America, worked with all of their different deities. Because all they are is just different representations of certain vibrations. You don't have to go into the mystical part. It's just a certain way of relating to try to heal people. But again, it was fixing. It wasn't like keeping people healthier and happier. I got a degree in acupuncture, acupressure, chiropractic. I took a number of courses in that, had friends in that.
How can your brain contain all that? Like you have like a mega brain.
Yeah. Since I was a kid, I was placed sort of in college.
So you're a genius, basically.
Yeah, so it's sort of, yeah. So the thing is that I didn't find it. It took me 5 years, 6 years. Finally, in the sixth and a half, almost the seventh year, I pretty much was on the last bit of where I could go. I was in Asia, been to Japan. That even though I'd learned Zen and loved it, and all the wonderful things of meditation in India, it still wasn't what I was looking for to give to the public.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I was learning, but it still wasn't what you all could take and use instead of having to degrade each thing. And so while I was in China, I worked at one of the hospitals, a number of hospitals, and I was teaching endoscopic surgery, and I also worked in the, which was a great experience. I worked in the. Do you ever see a Harry Potter movie
I love
and you
Harry
see when
Potter.
that guy? Do you like it?
I love it. Harry Potter was the only book I managed to finish in English when I arrived to the States because
Okay,
I
good.
couldn't finish a whole
So
book.
you know when he goes into that one guy who has an apothecary, and he's got this ladder that goes all the way around like this.
Yes,
It
yes,
has all those little drawers.
right.
That was filmed where that's a duplicate of where I worked every morning at 5:30 in the morning in one of the
Oh, it's
hospitals
that
in China.
library? Okay, wow.
Yeah. And so I used to
Wow.
pull out all these, they'd say, because everything's written in Mandarin, and my Chinese at that time was, wow, wasn't that good. And so the ladies there and one guy were always yelling at me, and we had a huge window which we kept open all the time because we were always boiling things, and the odor with all these herbs was quite strong. So I would reach in there and I go, okay, what is this? And I would look at it and I go, this is a bat wing. Okay. This, and then sometimes there was like a swallow's saliva that had been gotten at a certain time of the year. I would look it up, see what these words meant. I went, okay. And then they would boil all this stuff and then they'd decant it. And then we would take it around to each patient in the hospital, because this was a traditional hospital I was working in and a surgical hospital. They always wanted to pay me, and I said, I don't want to get paid. I said, I want to learn herbology. I
Mm.
said, okay, we'll let you work with these ladies early in the morning, but you still have to teach us in the afternoon. So I had a blast with them and learning how that a lot of these natural herbs really help people to stay stronger, get well. It just took a lot of work to make all these things so that they would be specific for that particular problem. And you had to be consistent, and then we had to constantly modulate them, which is different how people try to do herbs today. I think people like to just get a sort of a wide spectrum and think if I take all of them, it'll
Mm.
work. But that's really not. It's sort of a little bit going to take you out of balance of what you really want to do.
Yeah.
So one day I was walking down the library in the hospital after I finished my cases, and I saw this book there, and the book had a grandmaster in it, who I found out later was their national treasure, who was guarded all the time, and he's treating a client like this, and they show all the different photographs, and he doesn't touch him, but you see pictures of the wound healing in each photograph. Yeah. And
What?
so and so I went to the chief of the hospital, really nice guy, and I said, hey, this is why I've been on my search for 6.5 years. I have to meet this guy. And he goes, impossible, forget it. I go, why? He said, look, because remember when I went to China, people were still wearing these outfits like this, like Mao Zedong.
Mm-hmm.
There was rickshaws when I went there. There was very few cars. Only the government had cars. So
Wow.
lots of people on the street, lots of old China rules. And
Oh,
this
you're
guy
so
was,
lucky to have experienced something
yeah,
like that.
yeah. So the
Wow.
Grand Master was guarded all the time. They said, he's not going to see you. He doesn't see anybody except the people that the government says are approved for him to see. He's like a living relic, descended from Lao Tzu.
Wow.
And so I said, okay.
Was Lao Tzu a
Uh,
real person?
huh?
Was Lao Tzu a real person? Some people say it's just a myth.
I think that's another story.
Okay. Yeah, let's go back to your story.
But I wouldn't think anything negative about anything about Lao Tzu
Oh
or
no,
one.
not negative, not negative.
No, I
It's
mean
just that
about the
he's a
vision.
mystery.
No, he's a compilation, a person who condensed at one time from a lot of the people even before him of what turned out to be the basis of quantum physics. because he
Wow. Oh
invented the
my
yin
God.
yang
That,
symbol.
that is for another time. Yeah, I get it. I would love to
Yeah.
hear more about it.
And so, yeah, Einstein even says that in his quote. So does Turing, and so does Tesla, and all the people, the great physicists all know that what he worked out was the mathematics of the yin yang symbol, and he, of course, inherited all that from supposedly 72 other masters before him. Okay,
Wow.
so whether he was the only one who invented it, I don't know. He's the one that actually got it all together and got it out
Mm.
for all of us
Okay.
and embodied it. And then he left.
Mm.
I don't know if you know, but the book on Lao Tzu, the real, I mean, you can get books on Tao Te Ching and all that stuff, but the truth is, those are books about him. His own book, which he did not write.
Mm.
He was like Socrates. He said, I think this is as much as the world can handle now. Which is a very common thing in China, which is at a certain level of enlightenment, you just leave and just go into the mountains and stay there. And he says, I'm going to leave. And so his students freaked out. They all went nuts. You can't leave. We need you. You're doing magic and miracles and showing people that they can heal themselves. And so he says, okay, I'll stay for a while. And so then they took all these notes of him, and that became the one book that he actually created. And if you get an original one of those, it'll show you on the cover a donkey, but it's the back of a donkey, the donkey's rear, and the back of a man, because he's riding out of town.
Okay.
So he wasn't going to do it. So it's actually, he created this on his way of leaving, what we would call civilized society, or I would say the retrograde society, as far as miracles go. So the chief said impossible. So what happened down a couple weeks later, as Providence would have, I ended up getting to treat one of their major people, commissars from the government. And so after I took out all these tumors with the scope, he didn't have to have surgery. His first aide came to me and he said, everything went great. Huh? And I said, yes, everything perfect. He says, that's good. That's really great, because if it hadn't, I doubt if you'd ever leave China.
Oh wow.
So it was still, the fear of communism and the military and those kind of pressure. So later, the commissar said, okay, well, we want to give you red envelope, which means I'm going to pay you. And they said, you just name your price. And I said, yeah, I know what I want. And they said, what? I said, I'm going to visit that guy up the top of the mountains in that monastery that they say I can't go to. And they went, no, you can't. And so I said, I won't take any money. And so finally the next day he said, okay, I arranged it. He says, you can meet him for half an hour, but if he doesn't talk to you, if he doesn't relate to you, if he doesn't want to be with you, that's how he is. And
Wow.
he charges exorbitant amount of money back in those days for people to even connect with him. Because this is the days of Sai Baba and all those other people in India, where people were really producing a certain level of mystery and magic that most people were just not expecting. And so he was guarded. Well, I made it up the mountain with a couple people helping me, and then the motorcycle broke down, so I ended up walking it. And when I finally got to the monastery where he was at, there was some people there, and they were bringing patients up the mountain in not stretchers, but these big, long, like towel things made out of bamboo. And I saw him doing work on people, and it was just wonderful. It was just like in the videos. I mean, not it's just like in the photographs. And then you would think that someone there would say something to me, right? If you saw this tall Caucasian, or there's Chinese, and I'm wearing a baseball hat. Everyone looked at me like this and they went back to him. Huh. And so for the first day I was there, nobody said anything to me, not a word, nothing. And so that was my welcome. The next day, I finally talked to the cook and got something, so I could eat. And
that's what I was asking. Not even food, nothing.
Nothing. I made it to the kitchen, and what happened was that the people in those days, people who were not strictly from a serious Chinese background and believed in the mysteries of what this field was all about, was considered just not possible to ever catch or learn it.
Mm.
So, in China in those days was considered the middle kingdom. Between heaven and earth is considered the enlightened country.
Mm.
But believe it or not, after a couple days, the grandmaster said to his first lieutenant, he said, "Tell the American," which actually didn't call me an American, called me a Guilao, which is not a nice term. It means you're a white ghost. It means that you're a foreigner who could be dangerous.
Mm.
So tell him he could observe. So they let me stay. So I got to stay, and after a while, he let me come back and forth in the United States over the next year or so to watch him whenever I wanted to. And we really got along because I kept my distance and just watched him, made tons of notes. And what was great is I got to see people heal and then see if there was complications, just like we do with Western medicine. And I noticed that people got well from all kinds of things. People came there just to get their life handled, like they had a relationship that wasn't working, or they were they weren't able to be successful in their business. He would give them the energy mudras or the different ways of moving their body and say, go home and do this, and it worked. After a while, he said, you want to learn, and that was like a dream. So that happened after a number of years. I never thought that would happen. I said, yes, I definitely do. He said, now you have to know this isn't anything like your America. Remember, they didn't say anything good about Western. It's like, because they always thought that we were behind. He said, one, there's no malpractice here. So if you die on this mountain, which people do in this program all the time, people who try to learn this field, because it's all made by, there's nothing written. Because the first 2 years I was there, I kept asking the grandmaster, said, listen, do you have a book? Isn't there a book written about this? He goes, no book. It's all verbal tradition, and you're not allowed to even give the verbal tradition to anyone except who the emperor or people in the court, because it allows them to be so powerful. That's why it was kept that way for years and years and years. So I even went to the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., and checked to see there's got to be some book, but it wasn't. The best you could get was Qigong. And Qigong is great, and also Shaolin Monastery, it's great, and Tai Chi is great. I learned all those, but when I found out what their discipline was called New Life Energy, it was called Source Energy, it was called Getting Younger Energy, which was just what I was looking for. And it's called Source Energy. Source Energy. In other words, that he explained to me that because we went on a number of different trips after I got accepted there after a few years. We went to where Tai Chi was invented, where certain other disciplines were invented back previously on different locations. But all those came from a root. Just like white light is divided up into multiple colors, there has to be a root, a source energy. And this was that source energy that then you could do into Tai Chi, or you could do into karate, or you could do it into Shaolin exercises.
How many
all those
martial art
things.
disciplines do you know?
I studied quite a few before I got there, yes.
Wow.
And then what I learned when I was there was that he said, the second thing that you're not going to like, he says, is that nobody makes it to the level of where you want to go, which is to mastery. And I said, really? He said, yeah, look around. You've been back and forth. You see anyone who's at the level of what so I can hand off them to do certain things? And I said, no, but I didn't care because I already had, all my degrees here.
Right.
I'd already
You're already a
accomplished
master
everything
in so many other ways.
medicine.
Yes.
I felt like it was my time to be a new life.
Yeah.
So he said, so he accepts that you may die. And unfortunately, one of my best friends, a guy from Hong Kong, who used to meet me over there and was my best translator, he did get hurt and die. And that really crushed me. But the whole training is challenges. So the reason he says you make it only as far as you can get through every one of the challenges. And there's no written material. I'll just give you the challenge and I'll tell you what to do. And then you'll have to discover within your own body your sensors. Because this whole field, like the acupuncture chart has all these little spots on you that you put needles. Well, the one that has to do with source energy is sort of like the universe. Thousands and thousands and thousands of little sensors all over your body. And this is why Dave Asprey, one of my clients, really likes it because he's all into mitochondria. And he says, are all the mitochondria sensors? And I said, you're getting close. You're getting close. It's not just the mitochondria, but it is so many small things in your body that you can enlarge and make it so that you can actually be stronger, more flexible, more financially able at any age. And what I loved about it, it's anti-Alzheimer. So I
Is
brought it.
it? Wow.
I finally was able to bring this discipline back, energy for success, and I told no one,
Mm. Wait,
only
so
my own.
did you become a master?
Yes, I made it. Yeah, finally.
How?
And
How? Is there any challenges that you can
how many
share?
years it took? Are you kidding? It took like 14 years, back and forth,
14
back and
years.
forth, back,
And what
back and
was
forth.
one of your biggest challenges there?
There wasn't one big challenge. I would say every challenge was do or die.
Oh my
You're
goodness.
either going to quit, you're going to quit, or you're going to just go, this is too hard, or I'm in danger, I'm going to fall all the way down this mountain, something's going to happen to me. So, okay, well, I'll give you one. One time I was following the grandmaster through, we were in this jungle, and there's only two other people with us, and they were meeting him on the other side of this lake. The lake was about 100 yards, and about 90 yards. And so he then walks over the lake like this, just goes right over the top of it, and I could see his feet touching something, but it wasn't like he walked on water like Christ, but it was like almost like that. And I went, oh, great, that's wonderful. So I wonder how I'm going to go. I wonder what I'm going to do. I guess I'm going to have to go back. And so then he turned around and he looks at me and goes, and then he goes like this. And so there I am. There it is. Once again, your life's at risk. And what was bad about this lake is this lake was filled with snakes.
Hey.
All kinds of, and the reason I know that, there was all colored snakes, yellow snakes, brown snakes, every kind of, in other words, it was even known that in this jungle that they said you had to wear boots to be careful from snakes when you're in the forest. And here I was going to go in the water where they are. So I said, well, I have no idea how to do this, except I'll have to use the energy and the techniques that he's taught me so far. And one of the techniques was having your body become super, super light. There's even a way of testing it. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but in one of the disciplines you can research where people stand on rice paper and they don't fall through. And it's extremely difficult to make your body super light, but it's part of the bringing in the energy, because it's really not your body changing weight. It's just you're creating this energy field that's buffering you.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I said, well,
wow.
I said, I don't know. I didn't know that I could do that. I knew that he trained me in a number of things, but I didn't know I could do that. So I said, I saw the rocks that went across the water, and I saw that they were just under the water. So I said, okay, if it's possible to hit each rock and not slip into the water, maybe I can do it. But I knew that I couldn't just keep looking down, or else you might fall, right? So what I did was I went into that state like you're just completely going to bring in all the energy in the world, and made a goal that I was going to get across and smoothly on each rock and not slip, and then just started and stayed in this column of energy that I created. And then when I got to the other side, I finally realized I'd made it to the other side, and I went, so I made it across the lake of snakes. And that was not, something that I would plan growing up in Louisville, Kentucky, with your mom being a typical mom who wants you only to be a doctor, and what are you doing with your hands, and where are you going? And so, and then another one of the tests I'd say was where, even though I had martial arts training, it was part of this discipline is that you are a huge antenna for energy that's coming from everywhere, and that what's out there in the universe is just as important as what's here on Earth. You are connected to all of it. And so part of it is learning to be 360, which means you can sense what's in front of you, sense what's sides of you and behind you. One of the exercises to do that was we had to do fighting, which I'm a doctor or a surgeon. My hands are not supposed to be fighting anybody. And so the way we're supposed to be fighting was you have people, 4 people, one on each side and one in front and one behind. And you have to keep rolling around to be able to be sure that, to protect yourself. And it was great training. One of the people who was up there at that time is actually a famous fighter who's made in the movies, Jet Li. You might know him. He was with Mel Gibson once, where he would, that speed when he took the gun out of his hand like that. That was one of the things we had to learn too, how to move your body exceptionally fast.
Oh my goodness, this is so fascinating. This is the most amazing thing I've heard
Yeah,
ever.
and so I did, when I said I didn't tell anybody, because I was still doing surgery every day, so I wasn't allowed to tell people, well, you can, to advertise that there's another option. But since I had a huge practice, my own patients, I would say, if somebody wasn't, didn't want to take the medication, or they're getting side effects that you're supposed to get, or they didn't want to do something, I'd say, well, you want me to try something I learned in China? That's what I call it. I didn't even name it. And they said, yeah, we trust you. So I turn out the lights and I would do the different energy fields around them without touching them. And then I said, okay, now you report to the lady and the nurse in front, and you let me know how you're doing. And then I collected person after person after person, and they were all getting well from every age. It was amazing.
That's
It was
amazing.
young kids,
Wow.
older people. And then finally, there was a really, really wonderful guy who's still around, is in one of our groups, who came in with a very bad diagnosis. And he was the head of the CEO of a huge corporation. And he said, they said I don't have a long time to live. There's nothing I can do. And somebody said that you might be able to do something. So I said, okay, I'll tell you what. I will do something, but you have to sign the sheet that I did nothing. That you never saw me. And that's what and so I had to, in other words, I did not treat you as a doctor. I'm just a friend or something that gave you some input, because I didn't want it to be, people realize how powerful this was, and then have to deal with Western medicine at the time. Now things are a lot
very
better.
difficult. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's very difficult because it's very narrow-minded in terms of what's available and what they allow the public to have. So he got well, and he was so thrilled. He told a bunch of other people. He said, I think you should start teaching this to other people. And I said, no, I'm not doing that here in public. He said, okay, how about outside of California? I said, okay. So then I went and gave lectures in other states, and then finally I came back and felt comfortable giving them here in California, demonstrations. And then I created all these videos and audios that you could listen to. And what I'd learned in China was how to embed in the video or the audio the vibrations that would be the same as if you saw me personally, and they would open up your sensors. And we had in the United States at that time the different binaural beats people, and we had Tony, and everybody knows about the bowls, and we know that all feels good.
Right.
But you wouldn't say that's going to make you younger, more powerful. So now I was coming out and letting people do that, and I was treating people. But again, I was saying this treatment is not medical. It's just an opportunity for you to experience something. And person after person was getting great results. Didn't matter whether it was somebody from, well, of course, I'd already traveled to Japan again, and Korea, and back to South America, and shown people that this was just amazing. But the funny story is my mother, who was 80, one day I said, you really should, Mom, you should try this this energy stuff I brought back. I think you'd really enjoy it. And she said, why? Why should I do that? I'm 80 years old. I'm probably going to die someday. And so I said, Mom, you're probably going to die someday anyway. Why don't you try this and see what happens? So she says, okay, I'll start. But she was real, small town lady.
Yeah.
Not really expecting anything like this all the way from China, which made it very funky. And I said, it's not China, it's quantum physics.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Wow.
And has nothing to do with China, it has to do with the fact of how the whole world works.
Wow.
That part she took it. So then she kept doing the practices until she was 100. And then
wow.
she just kept cranking along. And finally, when she was 100, she got admitted to the hospital emergency room. And the doctor calls me because he knew who I was. And he said, hey, Barry, your mom's here. I go, yeah. I heard she fell. Yeah. He said, she's okay, but, there's a problem here. I said, what? He says, she's never used her Medicare card in her life. She's not on any registry in the whole United States. She doesn't exist as a person who's 100 and has had medical care. She's not on any medications, doesn't have any doctor, because you can look up all that stuff online when you're in the ER. That you can tell where a patient's been, what they've done, so you can find out, how to help them. And he said, is this that energy stuff that you've been doing privately? And I said, yeah. He said, must working in her. So since then, I've been able to codify in multiple lectures that this Energy for Success, which is the name of the company that I've created all these years, that has these videos and audios and physical practices that I brought back, work in really 8 main areas. One, anti-Alzheimer, it opens the Einstein part of your brain so you get smarter. The other one makes you healthier, stronger. The other one makes you financially more astute and more an attraction factor. Your creativity zooms.
Wow.
Your flexibility and strength gets stronger. Your ability to have relationship really improves. And so your relationship with your staff, your relationship with your clientele, your relationship with your family, all becomes one from here rather than where we have it, which is sort of quid pro quo. I had a person whose name I won't say, but everybody knows this guy's name is in front of a magazine. And after he got treated, his wife said to him, she said, you have to go back to that doctor because I do these treatments for certain people, high level, where I take you from 0 to 1 million just one day, but then you got to take a few days off. Your whole body opens up all your sensors. So she says, you have to go back to that doctor. He goes, why? She says, I've been married 15 years to you, and you're now like the teddy bear I married in the beginning. And this is the guy I want to have back. Oh, you like this all the time. He goes, I've changed that much? He goes, completely. Wow. It's a true story. And I said, he came because he wanted to, become super successful financially. I ended up helping write a number of books, get his health completely in order, physically. But what's so wonderful is that what I like about this whole process is that it's based on just who you are as a body, as part of quantum physics, part of being alive. And the opportunities in life are huge if you can hook into these vibrations. And the best way to think about it is, I don't know, have you ever hit a golf ball or hit a volleyball or hit a tennis ball?
Yes.
Or a softball?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you ever maybe really get a good hit, like maybe a double or a triple or a home run or something, just really knock it or spike
I'm not that good.
Well, did you ever have one time in school?
Okay, maybe yes.
One time. Okay, so if you'll notice, anybody who ever connects with the baseball or anything, even in the pros, because I treat people with MLB, when you hit a home run, they don't move. They're stunned for a second. That's because they're in that field of grace comes over you, and then you can do this incredible thing.
So I was in that field when I studied Aikido, and it was my first Aikido test, and everything like time stood still, and I was doing the movement, but everything just slowed down like ridiculous.
That's it. So now you understand Energy for Success. My goal was that every person, because we're all the same, I've operated enough people in every country, every color, on the inside we're all the same, that you could turn that experience on any place, anywhere.
Wow.
And I demonstrate that to people all the time. Whenever I give a big talk, I just take people in the audience and whatever is the goal. I mean, there's physical practices. I mean, we could do one right now.
I would love that. And by the way, can you reverse any disease?
I can't say that.
You can't say that, but yeah, okay, got it.
But I can say that you can do these practices each day and become stronger, healthier, more vibrant. And I have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of testimonials and videos of people who have had great results. It doesn't matter what you start out with either.
Got it.
You don't have to be a positive thinker. Although it does make you more positive when you see that you have more free time because you're much more effective. It really helps you with being able to make good decisions
Oh, that's
so
the best
that,
thing ever.
and yeah, and making in business, so you don't waste all your time in thinking, I want to go down this road and I think it's going to work.
In thinking
But
period.
when you have that
Overthinking.
feeling like you had in, was it Tai Chi or what was it in?
Aikido.
Aikido. In Aikido, that sense of where everything is all here, it's all tingling like this,
Mm-hmm.
that's space that is available to you 24/7. And if you use that, your sleep will become massively better, your digestion will be better, your the thing that I'm really going for is that, believe it or not, you become more peaceful. And I think that if enough people could do these practices, I could get my goal of world peace, which is, I told you earlier about my uncle had something to do with that.
Yes.
And then that would be my way of getting back up and do something that would allow people, because if you're feeling competent, not confident like I jack myself up, no, but competent like, where's your right hand? Right here. So you know where your knowingness is there for you. Now, what if your knowingness on how you're going to be successful, how you're going to relate to people, how you're going to be financially in good shape and physically and mentally and joyously, then if somebody hits you or something, you're going to go, hi, can I help you? But if you have the flu and somebody hits you, go, oh, don't bother me, I don't feel good. So much of our planet, I think, is walking around sort of feeling like they've got the flu, just on the edge of irritability in terms of their ability to jump up and do something.
Wow.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have such a massive consumption of things to escape, right?
Right.
This is the season right now. All the boxes and alcohol is coming up and drinks. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that it doesn't solve the next day. It doesn't make you more powerful. It's okay to take a break.
Yeah.
But I'd rather you watch Avatar. The thing is that
I want to watch
the
the new
joy,
Avatar.
yeah, the joy of being healthy, happy, and being able to learn every minute is just exquisite. And it worked. I mean, I can tell you a wonderful anecdote about a lady who came to me, and she was about 19, and she had 3 sisters and a mother, and they all lived together almost like in a really small place. And she came to me and she said, I want to be super successful. I want it. Okay. And I heard that this will really allow me to be able to do great. I go, okay. And then what is it that you want to accomplish? Well, I like IT, and I'd like to become a salesperson for one of the big IT companies. I said, great. And what's your training? No training. And you have contacts? No contacts. So I said, okay, well, you do these practices every day, and you keep in contact with me, and then I'll show you how to write goals so they're fueled by the energy. That
you write goals fueled by the energy?
Yeah, this is why most goals don't work. People get tired of writing goals because they write it as like a wish.
Oh,
No,
how
your
cool.
goal, if you do an energy practice before you write your goal, then we have every week we have a goal writing seminar for people from all around the world who call in just to check out their goals.
Wow.
We also have a group call for people around the world that is free, that everybody gets to share their miracles and what they're accomplishing.
Nice.
So this lady, believe it or not, because remember, nobody in her family had ever been successful, and her sisters were sort of not very positive about that she was going to be successful. But she says, "I want to do it." So she did the practices, and they all made fun of her. Because this is where the practices look. You just take your hands like this, and then you go up above your head, and take a deep breath, and then hold it, and then take a second one. And see if you could stretch a little bit more, and then a third one. And then let the air out extremely slowly, and then also let your hands come down slowly. I'll do it with you, watch. Just very slowly bring it down. Much slower than that. Let the energy bring it down. You don't have to bring it down. And then we'll do it one more time. And then put your hands together like this, and then bring it over like that, so it's going to be up above your head, and then take a deep breath. Now relax your neck this time much more, and relax your shoulders and just let your arms go up to heaven. And let your body just go wherever it goes as your arms get pulled up, and take another deep breath. People who are watching this should be doing the same thing. Experience it. You'll really see how quickly it works. Relax your neck. Go up higher. Take a deep breath. Take another deep breath. See if you can take the whole back of your lung, the front of your lung, the top of your lung. See if you can feel all that. And then slowly, ever so slowly, let your hands come down. And let them rest on your heart space. Just slowly.
It was hard to exhale slowly. I need more practice.
You're not, because you want the energy to bring it down. There's two worlds. There's
I
the
feel
energy
like there's
world.
there's an energy that is running through my body right now.
That's right. You already felt it.
Like
You want to do it one more time so you can have your hands come down slow? You want to try it again?
Yes, let's do it.
Come on, here you go. Now, there's no pressure. You do not have to grip. The energy, God, Mother Nature, the universe is set up for no grip. It's set up for flow. And that's one of the number one things, one of the great aids that you get is flow state all the time. Now, deep breath. Let your arms go up higher. Good. Now, another deep breath. Try not to breathe out. Relax your neck. Everybody, one more breath if you can. Just hold it for a second. Now, open your hands and let them come down very slowly. If it takes you an hour, we'll wait for you. Very slowly. Don't you bring them down. Let the energy bring them down. You let go. You go on vacation.
It's so.
Let it come to your heart. Come to your hot space. Here. And then as you get right here or here, then breathe that in. Take it all in. That's yours. That's your gift from God. And then you can make a goal the rest of the day is one of joy, happiness, and health and flexibility, and see how it turns out.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Thank you. That was awesome.
All right. So she did all these practices, and I have over 200 of these practices to do, depending on what you want to do, whether you want to be physically fit or whether you want to be just super healthy, or whether, in her case, you want to make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So she ended up working for a major IT company. That's good. But, they measure you in sales on what you do. And if you don't meet quota, you're out.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to beat the other people. She ended up beating everybody the first year, beating everybody the second year she was there. The third year, they had her give a talk to the whole country on how she started from scratch and used the energy to be able to become a super saleswoman of this IT. And you have to understand, this is a person who never made more than $10,000 to $12,000 a year. And last year, the year before, she made almost 7 figures.
Wow, amazing.
Her mother, her sister, everybody is doing the practices now. They all want to get it done. So I'm saying that, that we have the program, but she doesn't have to say, I had these videos for her to watch. Mm-hmm. She would do the practices. And then also have the guided breathing visualizations, which are rapid, transformational, vibrational techniques, because it all works on vibrations. Each one of these vibrations allows you to become really more competent than you ever thought possible. Mm-hmm. And she's real young. There's another example. There was a guy who came to me who was Joe, the tailor. And he said, Doc, I'm in your seminar, and I want to fly an airplane. I went, Joe, you're 80. You want to fly an airplane? How are you going to do that? He goes, no, I want to study it, and I've always wanted to do it my whole life. I said, well, you're going to have to pass the physical. He says, that's why I'm talking to you. I said, okay, here's the practices you got to do. And so he practiced, did all these different things. He passed his physical and soloed and was able to fly. He flew over my lecture every time we had a lecture in his city. and he would buzz it and then land the plane and come in. And we have pictures of him in a fighter jacket. He's 83. And isn't it cool that it doesn't matter what your age is or where you are, given our economy or what people tell you, it doesn't mean a thing. What means the thing is the fact that that yin yang symbol says that half of the side is black with one white dot. And what that means is that most of your experiences are going to be matrix, which is what I call the misinformation that we all get to deal with. The wrong information, the wasted effort, the grit,
Mm-hmm.
the hardness of life. And it has one white dot in there, which is hope, that maybe there's a way out. And then on the other side, which is what wonderful Lao Tzu discovered, is it's all win, it's all white, it's all clear. You can keep winning and winning and winning, and it has one black dot in there, which is just supposed to be, a little bit of resistance in life. It's not supposed to be your whole life is problem. So you might say, well, why didn't they just make the whole thing white? Well, he discovered that something that I think we all learned, which is that, did you ever eat potato soup or leek soup?
Yeah. No, I know. I've never. I make soup, but not potato soup.
Okay. Well, let me just tell you, if you have potato soup or leek soup, it's sort of this white soup,
Yeah.
It doesn't, or pea soup might be, but you're a pea
Yes,
soup.
pea soup I make.
Okay, pea soup does not taste good unless you put black pepper in it, right?
Yeah, and I put other stuff too.
You have to put other stuff. So
Yeah.
spice,
Cumin.
that's the little black dot.
Got it.
See? So you just take, that's what it is. So the little resistance in life is supposed, spice makes the life exciting.
Mm.
So that's why we have all this competition, all these things, which is you're supposed to have this opportunity to have a little resistance, and then your muscles grow stronger,
Mhm.
and then you stay strong.
Right.
So it doesn't really matter what your age is. It's all about your body, and your body is meant to serve you if you choose. And we all on this planet have been given the opportunity to choose every moment whether you want to choose that you're going to expand all your sensors by doing these practices for 20 minutes a day, or whether you just want to go, well, I'm just going to grit it out and work 14 hours a day, and then I'll come home. And what happens is that a lot of people, what I like about the energy work is that it helps people be in the heart space a lot
I
better.
love that.
And so I had this one guy who came to me, and I said, "What's happening?" He says, "Well, not too good." I said, "What happened?" He said, "Well, I'm a lawyer, and I've been working hard, and I made it, and I'm now a partner. It's wonderful, it took me all these years." And so I went home as soon as I got my partnership acknowledgement with a big bottle of champagne, and I gave it to my wife, and I said, "Look, honey, we can celebrate. I'm finally a partner." And she said, "Thank you so much. I'm so proud of you." She says, "I have something for you too." And she gave him divorce papers.
No way.
And he says, "Well, wait a minute. I did all this hard work and not being at home and not being around the kids and not being around you and just working all the time to make a partner for you." She says, "I didn't want to," I said, "I could have hired a lawyer. I didn't want to marry someone who wasn't ever going to be here. I married you for you, and I didn't get you all these years. And you're sort of addicted to just being, the work treadmill.
Mm-hmm.
You never could get off of it." So that's why I see a lot of CEOs, a lot of executives, a lot of entrepreneurs who think that you've got to work 24 hours a day, but actually the 4-day work week, all that stuff is possible. The fact that you can be effective and efficient and that you can be in the heart space is going to really make a big difference with the people you interact with and your employees and your mom and dad or your extended family. I think one of the
I think just being
people
around you and your teachings is inspiring enough. Like just being around you is inspiring enough. So on top of that, just to have your teachings is gonna be like probably extremely life changing and life altering. I want to ask you, what are
yeah.
your 3 top tips to living a stellar life?
The 3 top tips are this. One, your life as a human being is set up right now, wherever you are, to be better than you could ever imagine. That's the first tip. So that you know the direction. Because up till now, people have always felt your life is going to be less and less. So, they call life what a dying disease.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that. You get stronger and more able continuously. Number two tip is that with these practices that are so ancient and have been proven throughout so many years to provide a balanced experience of life and also more love and kindness between people and health, it's not hard. Is what's been hard is all the aggravation we've been through in life of people giving you misinformation.
Mm.
And that's why so many people aren't even finishing school now, because they're going, well, I'm not going to even be better if I get out from school. But if there's actual definite information that you can do 20 minutes a day with either watching this video and absorbing the vibrations or doing the physical practice or just listening to the guided breathing visualization, because what I like about those is you don't have to meditate.